Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Friday, July 26, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, or my yearly package featuring our Christmas and July sale, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Friday, Major League Baseball. First up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Ben Lively and Christopher Sanchez are your starters. Now, Ben Lively's put together a strong season overall, but I haven't loved what I've seen from him recently, giving up a lot more sharp contact. Last game, it wasn't miserable. 5 1/3 innings, only 2 runs, but that was enough for a Padres win in the end. He only had 2 strikeouts. He had 2 walks to go with it. He's given up at least 1 home run in 3 of his last 4 starts. I think the Phillies, a very powerful lineup that hits quite a few extra base hits and home runs, should be able to get to Lively for a few runs early in this one. Sanchez has been strong on the mound, a sub-3 ERA. The Guardians have not been the best against lefties in the month of July. You know, the Guardians have a great bullpen, but so does the Phillies, and I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Phillies in this one on the money line. Next up, the Minnesota Twins taking on the Detroit Tigers. Pablo Lopez and Kiter Montero are the starters. And Pablo Lopez, we've mentioned that it's been a disappointing season for him. In ERA, it's been above 5 for most of the year. Now you look recently, sub-5, because he had put back-to-back strong outings together against the White Sox and Brewers. 12 innings combined, 12 strikeouts, only 3 runs given up, only 1 home run, and a couple of walks. So he's in much better form right now, and makes it 4 of his last 5 starts, 2 earned runs or fewer given up. I think he pitches well in this game. Against the Tigers team, it's definitely improved, but still, I would say a weaker lineup in the American League. Montero, that last game, 5 earned runs against the Blue Jays. Not a great lineup there in Toronto, but Montero still struggled. 8 base hits to go with it. 2 home runs as well. Makes it 10 earned runs in his last 2 starts combined. Give me the Twins in this one on the run line. Next up, we see an interleague matchup. It's the Reds and the Rays. Nick Lodolo and Shane Baz are the starters. And this is an interesting game because you got the Reds in the month of July hitting righties very well. The Rays in the month of July hitting lefties well. Nick Lodolo's last start wasn't his best, but it wasn't his worst either. It was 6 1/3 innings, 4 earned runs, 8 strikeouts against the Nationals. To earn 8 strikeouts against a team that does a pretty good job of limiting Ks like Washington, that's pretty impressive. And overall, Lodolo, I'd much rather back him on the road than at Great American Ballpark. For me, I think this is going to be a decent spot for him to put together a quality start. And Shane Baz, like you look at his last game, no earned runs given up. It was a Rays victory over the Yankees. However, he had in 3 2/3 innings, 4 base hits and 5 walks given up with only 1 strikeout. And for me, if Baz is going to have success, he really needs to miss bats. To only have that 1 strikeout is a concern. The 5 walks, the control was off. For me, you look at his expected numbers, they are not great right now. I worry about him in this spot and going forward, at least right now. And I think the Reds can get to him for a few runs. I think the Reds have the better bullpen in this game. So give me Cincinnati on the money line. Next up, we see the biggest rivalry in sports, the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. We're going to see Nestor Cortes and Brian Bayo as your starters. Now, I know the Yankees are not the most popular team right now. A lot of people have gotten burnt with them because of their recent form, including myself. We saw them get crushed in the Subway Series. They've lost a majority of their series overall in the last couple of months or month and a half. But I'm still not ready to give up on the Yankees, and I think this is kind of a buy low spot with New York in this game. We know they've struggled against the Red Sox this year, but you got Brian Bayo on the side for Boston. I haven't really liked what I've seen from him on the mound. He does have a nice winning record, but when you look at the ERA, the expected numbers, not the best work, and he's given up a lot of sharp contact this season. I think some of the top of the order guys like Judge and Soto can take advantage of that early in this game. And then when you look at the other side, Nestor Cortes, obviously not in great form, but he's also had some tough matchups. He faced the Rays back-to-back starts. When you look at the Red Sox, they are improving against lefties. We saw them have a pretty good series against lefties at Coors Field, but they're still a team with a strikeout rate north of 30% in the month of June against left-handed pitching. And I think if there was a matchup for Cortes to bounce back in, this would be the one. I'm going to lean towards the Yankees in this one. I think it's going to be a great game, as these Yankees-Red Sox games usually are. But at a really good price, I'm going to go with New York on the money line. Next up is San Diego Padres taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Grayson Rodriguez for the O's, no official starter for San Diego. I like the spot for Grayson Rodriguez. He bounced back in that last game, and he's pitched well at Camden Yards overall this season. The Padres have not been great against righties in the month of July, despite a low strikeout rate. The bullpens, in the month of July, pretty similar numbers, ERA and expected number-wise. I trust the Orioles more in this game. I'm going to go with the O's on the money line, but I do think this is going to be a competitive series overall. Next up, the Texas Rangers and the Toronto Blue Jays. Two lefties on the mound in this one, Andrew Heaney and Yusei Kikuchi. Now, when you look at these two starting pitchers and you look at their recent form, Andrew Heaney's been the better option, more consistent as well, and the strikeout number starting to get there. When you look at both of these lineups against left-handed pitching in July, the Rangers right around league average, but the Blue Jays are dead last in OPS and ISO against southpaws in July. And then you look at the bullpens. Again, the Rangers right around league average in xFIP, the Blue Jays near the bottom of the league. So I got to go with the Rangers in this game. They just check all the boxes on the money line. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets. Charlie Morton for Atlanta and making his long-awaited season debut, Kodai Senga for New York. Now, Senga, he's missed the first few months, of course, with an injury. He made a couple of rehab starts in AAA Syracuse and did not pitch too well, in my opinion, in those games. His control was off a little bit, 7 walks and about 10 innings of work. His strikeout numbers less than a strikeout per inning. So now in your first game at the major league level this year, I do think that the Braves can get to him for a few runs. I also just don't think Senga's going to pitch deep into this ball game. Then you look at that Mets bullpen, the ERA pretty steep in the month of July. So I think the Braves have the upper hand when it comes to the starting pitching matchup. The lineups, I would say, are pretty similar in terms of what they've done in July and recently. And the bullpens, I also think Atlanta has the advantage. So I got to go with the Braves in this game. A solid price on the money line. Next up, the Chicago Cubs taking on the Kansas City Royals. We're going to see Kyle Hendricks and Brady Singer as your starters. You know, the 6.69 ERA for Hendricks on paper looks pretty miserable, but he's been a much different and much better pitcher, honestly, recently than he was, let's say, the first month or two of the season. But I still think that despite the improvements, I'd much rather have Hendricks as a reliever, at least right now, than as a starting pitcher. He was had a nice career as a starter with Chicago, but just hasn't been able to be an effective starter in 2024. The ERA on the road's above 7 this season, and for me, with how well Brady Singer has pitched at Kauffman Stadium, with how well the Royals have played at Kauffman Stadium, I got to give the advantage to Singer and the Royals in this one. So I'm going to go with the Royals on the money line in this game. Next up, a rematch of the 2017 World Series between the Dodgers and the Astros. Gavin Stone and Framber Valdez are the starters, and I like the Astros in this game. I mean, Framber Valdez, he has pitched well recently, 3 earned runs or fewer in all of his last 5 starts. He's somebody that usually can go out there and give your team a quality start, give the Astros a quality start. And against the Dodgers team, it's been strong against lefties overall in 2024, but not so much in July. I think Framber puts together another quality start. And, you know, Gavin Stone's a solid option on the other side for LA, but I think the Astros can get to him for a few runs. And when you look at the bullpens, the Dodgers bullpen in July, the expected number is some of the worst in baseball. I give the advantage to the Astros in this one at Minute Maid Park. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We see Trevor Rogers and Freddie Peralta as the starters. Now, Trevor Rogers has been a lot better recently. He's given up 3 earned runs or fewer in his last 5 starts. He's got his ERA now down below 4.6. However, this is a tough matchup. The Brewers have hit lefties so well in July. They were already able to get to Rogers earlier in the season. He was only able to go 3 2/3 innings in that game. And Freddie Peralta, coming off a bounce-back start, a big-time bounce-back start against the Twins. His strikeout numbers were there. The control was sharp. Not a lot of base runners, and that's exactly what you're looking for from Peralta going forward. The Marlins bullpen's actually made big-time improvements. So for me, in this game, I'm just going to isolate this game to the first 5 innings. I'm going to go with Milwaukee laying a half a run in the first 5. Next up, the Seattle Mariners taking on the Chicago White Sox. George Kirby and Drew Thorpe are the projected starters. And this is a game where you got 2 offenses, 2 lineups that are really struggling against right-handed pitching in July. 2 starting pitchers that are in great form, but when you look at George Kirby, you look at the price the Mariners are laying in this game, Kirby has not been the best on the road this season. He's got a losing record there. The Mariners have lost each of his last 4 games. They're not backing him up in the run support department. For me, the value lies with the White Sox. I think Thorpe, after a rough start to his major league career, has been excellent. The White Sox are 3-2 in his last 5 starts, and I think the value firmly lies with the White Sox in this game. I would lean towards the under and Chicago on the money line and run line. Next up, we see the Oakland Athletics taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Joey Estes and Carson Fulmer are your starters. This is a really tough matchup for both starting pitchers, in my opinion, especially Joey Estes, who's facing the Angels for the 4th time in about a month. Fulmer faced the A's recently as well, and there's a reason why when you look at a starting pitcher and you see the first time through the order, the numbers for the opposition, then the second time, the third time, usually the OPS, slugging percentage, batting average goes up and up and up with each time through the order because not only is there fatigue, but also the opposing team, the offense is picking up on some things against that starter, and it makes I think you got to give the advantage to the lineup in those situations. And for Estes to have to face the Angels again, I think the Angels get to him for a few runs. The A's lineup has been a lot stronger recently. In July, they're hitting righties and lefties well. I think they get the Fulmer and a weak Angels bullpen. Also, give me the over in this one. Next up, the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. We're going to see Luis Ortiz and Zach Gallen as the starters. And for me, when you look at Zach Gallen since the injury, returning from the injury, just hasn't looked the sharpest. I know he didn't give up a run in that last game against Chicago, but he also had 6 walks in that start, was only able to go 5 innings, so the control's still off. And when you look at this Pirates team, they've made improvements offensively, and the bullpen's gotten better. Luis Ortiz has quietly put together a very strong campaign. I think the value lies with the Pirates in this one. They're playing pretty good ball recently. Give me Pittsburgh in this one on the money line. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the San Francisco Giants. Kyle Freeland and Kyle Harrison are your starters. I expect a pretty low-scoring game. You got the Rockies on the road after a Coors Field series. Now, they did get the day off on Thursday, which I think is pretty crucial, pretty key, in this series and in this game. But I also think, Harrison's pitched well against the Rockies this year. Freeland's pitched really well since his injury, and that includes a start against these Giants. I expect a low-scoring competitive game, and if that's the case, I would take the 1.5 runs with the Rockies in the full game, and plus, I would take them in the first 5 innings plus a half a run. That's where I really think the best play could be in this matchup, because I don't really love that Rockies bullpen, but I do think they have a nice advantage with Freeland on the mound to start this one. So give me the Rockies plus a half a run in the first 5. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comment section below. And again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.